You guys, Coach Ryan with Jiu Jitsu Strength. In this video, I'm going to show you how to perform a sumo deadlift. There's a couple different variations of sumo deadlifts. For our purposes, we're going to be doing a modified sumo deadlift. Okay, so the foot position on the deadlift is basically going to be the width of your shoulders. If you just allow your hands to hang down by your pockets, your heel should be just outside your finger line. Okay, so that's pretty good as far as modified goes. Now, as far as the foot position, you may be able to achieve feet straight, but we don't want to have feet straight on this one. Depending on your hip anatomy, basically you're going to be slightly open. That could be anywhere from 10, you could go 45 degrees. I tend to be about 15 degrees, but mainly we're trying to get the femurs to externally rotate so we can get the glutes to drive a little bit more, and that comes from external rotation in femur. So that is general setup for the foot position in the sumo deadlift. Now, one thing that I'm going to cover before I even get down here and start deadlifting is what's going on with my trunk or core or this area between my head and my pelvis. Basically what I'm doing that you can't see is I'm creating intra-abdominal pressure or core stiffness. Basically, if you visualize my rib cage as this top part of my hand and my pelvis as the bottom, I essentially want to keep my rib cage and pelvis stacked together. I don't want to, if you watch me from the side, as I'm going down, allow my pelvis to like tip forward and arch, or what we call an anterior tilt, and my rib cage flare open. Okay, what that does is it increases the zone of opposition. What we do want to do is create an optimal zone of opposition so that we can increase our intra-abdominal pressure. Basically what that means is if I take a breath in, and I'm going to show you with my hands here so you have a visual representation. If I were to squeeze my abdomen like a corset, when I breathe in, that pressure should build from my diaphragm descending and pushing down on the abdominal content. So hopefully you can see this. Show you one from the side. So I'm increasing the pressure in my abdomen. So I'll give you an analogy. I want you to think of a Coke can. If I were to have you stand on top of a full Coke can, it would be able to support your body weight. Unless you're a complete fat ass, then maybe you can crush it. But if I gave you an empty can of Coke, even if you're a 120-pound tiny woman like the person holding this video here, or camera, you'd be able to crush that thing fairly easy. So I want you to think about what that heavy weight will do to you if you don't have intra-abdominal pressure. With adequate pressure, you're able to support your spine, you can bear heavy loads. Without that pressure, you're pretty likely to fold. So I'm going to be inhaling, using that diaphragm to create that pressure, and then on top of that, I'm going to be bracing my abdomen, my abs, my obliques, everything 360 degrees to create more core stiffness to support my spine so that I can move this isn't a heavy load, but move a heavy load. So those are the key points. That one you won't see, but keep that in the back of your mind as you hear me breathing. So your setup. Again, I'm looking for that same foot width. When you set up, try to have a consistent approach to the bar. One thing that a lot of people do is they get random setups on the bar. They may go 1 foot forward, then the other foot, or they'll switch it, or they'll just kind of like walk up. And it's kind of like think of a Major League Baseball player approaching the batter's box. You're gonna have a consistent, repeatable way of approaching the task that you're going to perform so that you can feel that similar performance each time you step up to the plate, or in this case the bar. So what we're going to do is set up our feet. Okay, you're going to go at shoelaces. I don't have shoelaces, but if I did have shoelaces, that bar is going to be over my shoelaces. All right, so again, I've got my feet a little bit open. Everyone's a little different there, so find what works for you. I'm going to be entering this movement as a hinge. Camera lady, you're going to want to see the side for this one. My arms, all I'm doing is letting my arms hang, okay? My arms don't go wide, they don't go narrow, they just hang straight down from my shoulder joint, and that's going to allow me to set up a pretty decent position. The hips go back, the knees open. If you start seeing that your femurs are coming inward, your adductors are probably kicking on a little more than they need. You're probably flattening at the foot so I don't have good bone contact with the ground. I want heel outside of the foot all the way to big toe. I want to externally rotate. Remember those glutes we were talking about? Those help externally rotate your femurs. So the more I externally rotate, the more activity I'm gonna have here. That's also gonna help support my back. So once I'm there, I'm going to hinge, driving my hips back, opening my knees. I'm not squatting down to the bar, okay? So I'm loading up this backside. Now, arms hang, I'm gonna grip the bar. I like to go ring finger at the knurling. Now, notice the bar is a little away from me. The further the bar is away from you, the more you're gonna carry in your back, okay? So what I want you to do is we're gonna get the lats involved by unshrugging our shoulders and pulling the bar to us as we lift, okay? Now, from here, notice my shoulders are way over the bar and in front of my hands. Ideally, I want my shoulders on top of my hands. Now, this is where we start talking about wedging. Wedging allows me to stay nice and tight to the bar. I'm pulling the bar through me. It's engaging my lats. As I do this, I'm going to rotate the pit of my elbow forward, or you see my tricep go backward. That further gets my lats involved, and I'm keeping that bar tight to me. So I can now give you a rep. Hips, set up my grip. Try to break the bar by pulling my elbows in, packing those shoulders down. My neck, I don't want to look up. Some people like to look up because you do get a little bit more recruitment on the backside, but I also jam up my cervical spine here. So I want to stay fairly neutral, and now I'm going to shift. And you're going to notice that bar levitates off the ground. Now I have a mechanical advantage. So if it's in front of me, you're going to be a lot weaker. If you do a good wedge, that bar is going to feel at a lightweight like it's going to float off the ground. Now you're ready to pull. Quick checkpoints. My butt is higher than my knees. My shoulders are higher than my butt. So this would not be an acceptable deadlift. My butt's higher than my shoulders. This would not be an acceptable deadlift. My butt is lower than my knees. Right here, I feel an adequate amount of tension. Set. Now, something to talk about here. The initial movement is a push away from the ground. I have to get the bar to pass my knees. I'm pushing, I'm using this back here, but I'm also pushing with my legs. That gets me past the knees. Once I'm past the knees, I'm wedging my hips underneath the bar, okay? So, let's look at that again. Now I can come down, okay? So, there's a lot more stuff we can go over. This is the gist of how to do the modified sumo deadlift. Give this a try. Again, approach the bar consistently. Look for the heels to be outside the shoulder line. Hinge to get down, keeping the knees open. Allow your arms to hang. Grip the bar, pack the shoulders. Lift your heart to tense your upper back. Pull the bar into your thighs. Make sure that your shoulders are over your arms. Big breath to get that intra-abdominal pressure. Drive off the floor. Now, drive your hips through the bar at the top. So 2 different movements to complete it. On the way down, a lot of options. Typically, just guide the bar down. You don't need to do a long eccentric. You don't need to drop it. Just guide it down safely. We can talk about other options later. So, hopefully you found this useful. Give it a try. Let me know if you got questions.